it does feel like a Monday for me. But it's definitely Wednesday. It's definitely Wednesday. I hope everybody's having a good day. I mean, we do have some great news. I mean, Nvidia's up 2.7%. We have Amazon up roughly 2.6% as well. So we are seeing some bullishness in the AI space. I think CoreWeave is sitting at over $95. Nebius is also doing really well. Yeah, it's been a while. It actually, I mean, I was on Friday, right? Monday was off, the market was closed. Yesterday, my little one had a dentist appointment, and I had to. It was scheduled during the stream, so and with the Valentine's weekend, went out to the city with my wife. We spent the night at the city. I was just tired. Monday and Tuesday, I was just exhausted. Um, so yeah, my apologies. It's been a while, but we're back on it. It was just market was closed one day, and we had Valentine's Day weekend that kind of like tired me out. Now, I agree with this sentiment here. Just keep buying your high conviction stocks and ignore the market sentiment. I 100% agree with this. Uh, Amit just recently posted something pretty cool. He posted something really cool that um, let's go to Amit. He just posted the alt capitals quarter four, 13F, and I can relate to this extremely well. So he ended up buying new positions in CoreWeave, Shopify, and BE, Bloom Energy. Obviously, huge bull here into CoreWeave. Well, I'm not into Shopify right now. I mean, the stock at a low 100s seemed very interesting. BE is the only one I'm not too familiar. He sold out of a lot of players and just seems to have doubled down in a lot of their own main plays. And they're boring, right? They seem boring, but I think I like adding Nvidia. I like adding Microsoft. I like adding Amazon at these levels. I don't follow Google, maybe not too much at these levels for me. We added about a bit of out. And Melly, I don't follow. Like Mercado Libre, I don't follow too much. But overall, I really like. Um, Obviously, it's just nice to kind of see that someone else is as crazy as you. Um, what's going on? What's going on? How's everything? What's up, man? What's up? What's up? Hope everybody's having a great day. We had some interesting news happen over the past few days. So maybe we can talk a little bit about them. I've done a few videos. Yesterday, I was just dropping videos left and right. Yesterday, I thought was um, I broke my YouTube channel because I think I was just dropping too many stuff that YouTube was like, I don't know what to recommend. I don't know what to recommend to your viewers since too much is out right now. Um, but we did have Nvidia news come out. All right, there's two Nvidia news that came out. First was just there's actually three, actually four. In the past 48 hours or so, there's probably been four big Nvidia news. The first thing is we did have the semi-analysis kind of showcase that Nvidia is the king in TCO. All right, Blackwell GB300 was Nvidia actually underpromised on that, right? They stated that it was going to give you 30x returns. The actual returns versus Hopper have been much higher, and the TCO is great. So that was the first news that came out for Nvidia. The second news that came out for Nvidia was there's reports from Evercore ISI that the Vera Rubin, due to some stuff, is most likely going to be released earlier than expected. I don't think that one's true, right? I don't think that one's true. I think Nvidia has always said second half. Nvidia also mentioned that cloud players were going to be able to have instances in the second half of 2026. So for you to have instances running already, it means that you're most likely shipping very early in the second half of 2026. Um, um, so that was the second news that I thought those were false, but at least it just showcased that the market is very excited about Vera Rubin. The third was the Meta news. Meta, I forgot what was. We had the Meta news, but there was something else. There was a fourth thing that came out. So Meta news were amazing. I think the market is. I think there's a mixture of two players. Um, there's a market where it's like, this is the ultimate bullish news. I think it's bullish. I don't think it's ultimate bullish. But then I also think there's the market of people not understanding. They're like, wait, I thought Meta and Nvidia already had a partnership. What's really new about this? And I think there's actually a lot of new stuff about this, right? There is definitely new things about this. So obviously, the first thing is that Nvidia is going to be using it's going to be selling millions and millions of GPUs of Blackwell and Rubin, right? This is not counting Hopper. We know Meta was a big purchaser of Hopper, but now we're seeing they're going to be a big purchaser of millions of GPUs of NVIDIA Blackwell and Rubin. Now, this theoretically should be known because they are purchasing or have a massive capex, right? They're having massive capex on this. So obviously they were going to spend a lot. But I think the market is very silly that AMD went down on the Meta news. Meta clearly uses more than one supplier. I don't ever think anyone, again, maybe this is because I just follow this market so much. I feel like a lot of this should be common sense. So obviously Meta purchases AMD, but Meta is the biggest purchaser, is a massive purchaser of NVIDIA, right? That's been their primary player. Obviously Meta has some MI300s. They have some MI325s. We haven't really heard much about the MI355s from them. But it is expected that they're going to buy the MI450s, right? So I don't think that's what the market is scared about. I think what they were scared about was the other thing, Abi, is the CPU news, right? So in this, they're mentioning that Meta and NVIDIA are continuing to partner on deploying ARM-based Grace CPUs for Meta's data center applications. The collaboration represents the first large-scale NVIDIA Grace-only deployments. Now, this is what I think is the biggest difference. We're not talking about GPUs right now. We're talking about CPUs. NVIDIA and Meta are going to make infrastructure just based on CPUs alone, right? Just on CPUs, not on GPUs, just on standalone CPUs. Now the market is scared because CPUs, this is not supposed to be NVIDIA's market. This is supposed to be AMD's and Intel's market. Why is NVIDIA standaloning CPU only? So I actually, I don't think it's silly that AMD went down on this, right? I really don't. I actually think that it showcases that there's more competition in the CPU space. So now you have AMD fighting in the CPU space and you have them fighting in the GPU space, right? So more competition, you increase the risk a little bit, so the market is going to punish you. Now, even though I don't think it's silly, I still believe AMD is going to win in the CPU space market. It's not that there's the CPU market, we're hearing from various players that it's growing strongly because of agentic AI, right? Agentic AI is driving this massive need for CPUs in this AI workloads. It's not the one kind of doing, it's like a middleman happening with the CPUs that is really needed for kind of these high context workload solutions. So the CPU market has exploded. We saw Intel; they didn't have enough demand, enough supply to meet demand. We saw AMD give us some strong numbers on data center driven by the CPU space. But I think this is I I can see why the market would be scared, right? If you're doing just CPU only deployments, that's a threat to AMD's core business, right? The market always used the market, and it's crazy, right? The AMD investors would be like, AMD just needs to take a few market shares from the GPU space. But there was never a conversation of what happens if Nvidia starts to take a little bit of the market share in the CPU space. All right. So that's the big difference here, right? Um, But I agree. I think the market just doesn't. I think the market right now doesn't understand how much compute is really needed. I don't understand it. I just know it's a damn lot, and we need more than what we're saying we need. I do think it's a lot more. So even if there is more competitors, everybody can win, and that's my thought process on the GPU space. This market is so big that NVIDIA is going to continue to be the top dog in the GPU space, and they're gonna, but AMD can still win some in the GPU space as well, in the CPU space as well. The CPU market now is growing thanks to AI. That AMD is still going to be a technical leader here, but because it's growing so rapidly, you even have players like Nvidia that are also going to be able to play here in the CPU standalone. So those were my thought process there. Um, let's see what's out. Adam saying ALAB finally making a move. A lot of ungrateful traders after earnings. I think ALAB's earnings were amazing. But maybe because now I'm in ALAB share backloader at 150. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. I think it's around 150. But I think Astera Labs had great earnings. They really did. Stock is up roughly 4.5%. I think someone also mentioned CoreWeave. CoreWeave is up 5.7%. I mean, we've been bullish on CoreWeave here. I still believe this is a good player. We have Nebius up in the 103s. Earnings were great. I thought earnings were crazy good. Earnings were crazy good for Nebius. We actually even covered that in the channel as well. If anything, AMD should be going up after this, especially with the TCS India deal, which the market ignored. I agree that. So luckily we covered it in this channel. AMD stock, India. Hey, I actually made Reddit. Hopefully people, I don't want to go in here. I'm pretty sure people say a lot of mean things about me. It has 20 plus comments here. This is the scary thing about sometimes doing this stuff because people hate, and people are just mean. Maybe someone can go check it out and say, you know what, Jose, they actually say some nice things about you, and say, some people should check it out. But I made it on Reddit. I'm on AMD stock Reddit. But it was completely ignored, right? I do believe it was ignored. So 200 megawatt deployment for AMD Helios rack scale. That was really good, right? I mean, we know and sometimes Nvidia shares a lot of the math, so we have to do reverse engineer with Nvidia. So Nvidia shared that a gigawatt is about a 30 to 40 billion dollar opportunity for Nvidia. Now, Nvidia has a lot more solutions within their rack scale, right? They even have the networking side with Spectrum, so it's a little bit additive. And Nvidia tends to have a higher margin. But for, let's say, 1 gigawatt, you have about 30, let's say 35, let's say $40 billion. Let's just say $40 billion for Nvidia. Now, this is 5 times smaller than that. Or is it 5 times? Yeah, 5 times smaller than that. So do that 40 divided by 5. What do you get? You get about $8 billion for 200 megawatts. Now, assume you have a little bit less than 75% of the 25% less margins than Nvidia's AMD. That's still about a $6 billion customer that you just landed. That's massive, right? That's massive. Now they talk about the Helios, right? The Helios is the MI450. So this is expected to happen within the next few quarters, right? Helios comes out in the second half of this year. Most of those racks are most likely just going to go to OpenAI. For the other players, you're most likely expected to see first half of 2027. But I'm going to guess, if I was to guess, most of the volume for AMD Helios is going to go to OpenAI in the first half, when it first releases in the second half of 2026. But I thought this was a big deal. All right, I just mentioned, right, potentially a $5+ billion deal for AMD here that the market kind of ignores. Next, people I know invest in Nvidia and AMDs and don't even know what a GPU is. Yeah, and the thing is, when it's like they think they're a GPU and a CPU are the same. My first time buying into the market, $600 into AMD, bought in at 196. Hopefully, it's a great start to my family's future. First, let me just say no mercy, 9234. Congratulations entering the market. Congratulations. Congratulations entering the market. I think the market is what has allowed me and my family to be really good financially. If it's your first time, just remember, we don't always hit home runs. There's gonna be times when we're gonna strike out, and those strikeouts are gonna suck. But just stay with it. I do believe sometimes first investors, they might screw up and say, you know what, I made these mistakes. The market is not for me. I think long-term investing is the way. You're not always going to hit winners, but when you hit winners, those winners could completely change your life and your family's life. So welcome. Now to say that, I believe AMD has the opportunity, a lot of opportunity to grow from here. So I actually think that's a great buy. I do think 196 is a great buy. Luckily, you're already up on the trade. So 201. So congratulations, no mercy. Then there was this other one, right? So there were the rumors of the MI450X delays. I don't think there's any delays here either. And it's pretty interesting, right? Because I am a huge fan of semi analysis. I know maybe you might. Hey, I'm here. My 455X. Um, I don't want to go on this. I don't want to go here. But there were rumors that the AMD Semi 455X was delayed, right? There were rumors. Now it's I think the wording is also different between what semi analysis is saying and what it's actually happening. So one of the real things that semi analysis mentioned is that first production tokens will only be generated in the second quarter of 2027. They also kind of talked about manufacturing delays, but they still said that things will be shipping in the second half of 2026. You also had AMD's, I think, senior, I forget who Inosh is in at AMD. He definitely works with Rockham. Is the software VP for Rockham at AMD? I forget the actual title. But he said all that was fake news. AMD is going to continue to ship. Is expected to ship in the second half of this year. I think that's going to happen. Again, I do believe most of those orders, it looks like low volume production because I think it's going to be low volume production for a lot of customers except OpenAI. OpenAI, because it's a massive order, you're going to make sure you want to treat them nicely, right? You're going to want to treat them really good because if OpenAI is using your product, then other players are going to say, look, if OpenAI is doing really good with you, maybe we should also go with you. So I do think for it's going to be low volume production for other players, but for OpenAI, they're definitely going to be on it. And it takes time to build these systems, right? Not just build the systems, but remember, I also think that some people in the data who are investing think that when you get a data center or these racks, it's like getting a PC and you just open up your box and you turn it on, you connect it to the Wi-Fi, and you're good. No, these massive data center systems, there's thousands and thousands of them on the data centers. You have to connect them all. You have to test them all out. You have to make sure the liquid cooling, just the liquid cooling aspect of testing that, making sure everything is running appropriately. Then making sure after you turn everything on and check everything, then you have to verify the temps, make sure everything's running good, making sure there's not a mess up, a clog, or anything. Right? There's so many things that could go wrong that first production tokens after getting the actual shipment, the process of turning it on could take a few weeks, maybe a month, maybe more. Especially this being the first time AMD releases something at a scale, at a rack scale system. It's the first time a lot of players are going to see it, right? They're going to, so it takes a little bit even longer to do that. So if you're an Nvidia investor, you know this. AMD, you get hit with a lot of rumors over time. Just make sure you listen to AMD's earnings. Make sure to listen to conference calls. Make sure you listen to what management say. At the moment, AMD hasn't steered me wrong in forms of management. So I'll trust management over rumors any day. But yeah, let's see. What else do we have? Jose, do not worry what some may say. You're genuinely a great person. Appreciate that, Bullish. And I really don't mind it. But sometimes I like to like troll and say something back, and I might spend like 20, I might spend some time, 20 seconds responding. But I agree. I appreciate that. um, let's see. A lot of miserable people not as happy and genuine as you. I am very happy, but I appreciate the kind words, right? I don't know if you guys were just saying that because there were just so many mean comments there that you guys had to felt bad and were like, you know what, time to give this guy some nice stuff, but appreciate it. My first time buying was last year, and it was AMD at 80. Amazing, amazing! Congratulations, getting at 80, AMD stock. But let's see what else. Are we getting anything else? There's a lot of haters on the internet. I try to spend the positive. Jose, what's the one hated stock right now that you think people will regret not buying in a year time? Just like AMD in early 2025. What's the hated? In a year's time, I think a year's time is too short to tell. Um, I do think somewhere it has to be somewhere in the software name. Um, uh, um, I think it has to be somewhere in the software name that is there, but I don't think if it's I don't know if it's a year's time because with the software name you have this optics of AI killing software, right? That's the optics. Is AI is going to kill software. Now with AI just improving every single month, right? We're going to get a new model next month. We're going to next a new model after that. Um, The optics can last a little bit longer, but I do think it's somewhat in the software space. If I was to say, I could think Adobe. Adobe would be one that I know familiar. The actually another one. I think another one that's getting hated right now is Mac Sevens. I think Mac Sevens in general are being hated. I think Amazon is being Amazon and Microsoft. If I could say those, if any of those two, Amazon or Microsoft are being hated right now for the wrong reasons. Right. I mean, Amazon was in 240s down after amazing earnings. Microsoft had amazing earnings too. I think if I couldn't see a software name and I had to, I think I would go with one of the Mag 7s. I'm trying to think. Obviously, there's other companies I might think of um, over time, but those are the only ones I can kind of think of at the moment. Um, I think Astera Labs it definitely got punished after earnings for no real reason. Maybe you can say valuation was a little bit heavy, but I think Astera Labs is looking pretty good as well. Um, so those are there. Let's see. Austin, good pastor. Do you think that with AMD starting behind AMD, they could catch up and grab reasonable share of AI market, maybe 10 to 20%? Or is the real bet that AMD can just keep 6% of the expanding market? So, Austin, I think this is going to be a fun one, right? Because I think the AI market is evolving. It's evolving into different workloads, right? There's going to be so many different workloads, and there's actually going to be certain workloads where AMD is going to be really good at, and where Nvidia maybe decided to just focus on other workloads, and that's what we're actually seeing right now. So, a perfect reason for, or a perfect example of how this is happening right now is again, I think Nvidia is the easiest to look into because they are obviously the top player. Um, but NVIDIA, right, at first they just focused on the main type of workload, whatever it's called, but it's kind of like this main frontier model style workloads. And that's where you have the Blackwell, the B200, the GB200, the Hopper 200, the H200, and all that. But now workloads are shifting that NVIDIA is actually focusing on other chips as well, right? One of the other chips is kind of like the CPX. NVIDIA CPX is this one right here, which is AI workload that deals with a lot of co- context, token context workloads, heavily token context workloads, which is very crucial for coding and very crucial for video. Then we also see them now working with Grok with the LPUs, right, which are low latency workloads. We see OpenAI recently work with Cerebrus, right? I think it was Cerebrus. Come on, just go there. I don't. It isn't me. Does anybody ever use this thing? Do I not use this correctly? Um, this is one of my biggest hates from Google. I don't know if I can cancel it, but when you put something and you have your history, but then there's one that just opens this side up. I don't know. I think this was stupid. I think this was stupid. I hate it. Maybe I don't use it right, but if there was one thing I wish I could take off is that. But OpenAI and Cerebrus are partnering up, and they're partnering up for just ultra low latency AI compute. So the AI workload is completely changing. There's going to be so many different workloads in the next few years that you don't have to focus on one. You can kind of create a niche or a market within one and then just grow from there. And I think that's where I think AMD is going to, one, be able to take maybe a few single market share in the core workloads, maybe even 10%. Even 10% on the expanding market is amazing. But then I also think with all its other embedded solutions, right? All the embedded stuff that it has with the acquisition of Xilinx. Is that I'm remembering the name correctly? They can actually enter into unique workload solutions as well, and obviously their strength with the CPU x86. So for me, now that the workloads are shifting, now you even have more opportunities to grow in other players. Um, don't visit Reddit. People were mean. Damn it! Now I want to Reddit. I want to check it out, but maybe they were mean. I don't know. Um, let's see. Intuit, I hate their company, but with AI, it's going to be around. I think a lot of the software players are like this, right? I don't think AI is going to eat especially if you're a software company that has a lot of different products, right? If you have a lot of different tools, I don't think you should be worried. If you have data, I don't think you should be worried. Right. So companies like um, let's see. Yeah, a lot of software. I think the software apocalypse or whatever is being called right now is it's an overreaction. The question is, how long can the overreaction last? I'm in Amazon, AMD, and Meta. Am I exposed to something? Exposed to something? I mean, I think in general, you might be exposed to the overall AI market thesis. Um, right? That's the first thing you're exposed. So no matter how, even though these are all unique companies, you are exposed to the AI story. If we hear like the AI story is dead, all these companies in the short term would definitely see a strong negative reaction. But the actual things eventually after those negative optics, I think the market would understand. Amazon, obviously super strong in the cloud market. You're in the cloud service provider market. You're in the e-commerce market, right? I would say those are the two main markets. Obviously, you can say subscription, you can say advertisements as well in Amazon. But I would say if there's two core markets here with Amazon is e-commerce and cloud. In Meta, you're in two main markets. You are in pretty much one main market right now. You are in advertisement, right? Advertisement. In AMD, you're pretty much in capex needs for AI infrastructure players and overall in the CPU, GPU market, and you're pretty much consumers also pretty good, but pretty much just in the capex for both hyperscalers and typically the capital expenditure that consumers spend. Um, so those are there. All right, amidst refugees incoming, welcome, welcome, welcome. Feel free to let me know what you guys want to talk about. What's your best guess for closing price next Friday after earnings? For what, CoreWeave or Nvidia? Because CoreWeave is on Friday, right? On Thursday. CoreWeave 96. Nice, nice, nice. I get excited. I get excited when we see our AI labs companies going up. Um, I know some of you guys are more Nebius than CoreWeave. I know a lot of hate on CoreWeave, but Nebius 103. Let's keep that up. I'm a refugee here. Nice, nice, nice. Um, but let's see. What is your best guess for? I don't know. I don't know. But we do have some earnings, some cool earnings coming up next week, right? Let's see what our earnings this week are going to be weak, right? I think this week is going to be. We don't have no really good earnings this week. We have Camtech, or they just reported already. We have analog devices. In the semiconductor, I feel like some people follow that one onto a lot of equipment players this week, but I don't think the market likes equipment players too much. I don't think they're popular with them. Next week, though, we have on Tuesday, we had Cypher Mining. We have Navitas. I know a few people like that one. On Wednesday, we have Nvidia. You also have other players. You have Pure Storage. You have Arista Networks that's getting punished today. Solaris Energy Infrastructure is also happening on Tuesday. And then Thursday we have CoreWeave, we have Dell Technologies, we have TeraWolf, we have Ambarella, we have White Fiber, we have InnoData, Soundhound, Rocket Lab, CoreWeave. Thursday's going to be, I think Thursday's going to be a crazy volatile day. It's a lot of high beta names, NuScale Power. A lot of high beta names are on Thursday of next week. Obviously, I'm going to be focusing on CoreWeave. I might do a live stream during the earnings call. Obviously, live stream on Nvidia, but maybe one on CoreWeave as well. Meta will announce an equivalent deal for the MI450 close to the one that Nvidia got. Just wait. You think the size difference? Size completely different. Completely different. I mean, I don't. HP. This is why, you have to. I think you just have to understand also the supply chain, right? Theoretically, you cannot match the supply of Nvidia. So I don't think I think AMD will announce Meta will announce a deal with the MI450 and AMD, right? I think that's definitely happening. But I think it's wrong to say that you're going to have an equivalent deal, right? I mean, just the literal supply chain logistics doesn't allow you to that happen. You just can't. It's a whole different story. But I do think Meta will announce an AMD deal with MI450. And I do think that would be extremely bullish for the stock. And I think the stock will react positive, very positive to a Meta announcement. Yeah, Coreweave next deal, that's probably going to be my favorite thing. Um, let's see. Nvidia earnings Wednesday, but end of week price. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. That's just a crystal ball. You want me to do a crystal ball? All right, let's do a crystal ball. Nvidia uh end on Friday, end of Friday after its earnings. I'm seeing a two. All right, I'm seeing a two. I'm seeing a one actually. I'm seeing a three. 213 and 68 cents. That's what I saw. I literally saw those numbers. All right. Those are the numbers. Um, those are the numbers I saw. I literally saw it flashing while I closed my eyes. If it's right, I don't know. We clip it, we say Jose is the GOAT. If it's wrong, completely but $213.68 is what I saw when I closed my eyes. Um I think. Oh, do we have some stuff happening today? I don't follow that market. Well, I don't follow the macros, right? So I don't know, but obviously, yeah, this could create volatility today in the overall space. Um, what do you think the market is pumping? Do you trust this pump? I never trust anything. I don't trust anything. Um, but I'm liking it. I mean, the market has been selling off for a bit. I mean, I don't untrust it either, just because Nvidia is trading at what, 4 PE valuation of 26? How is that crazy? Maybe the market is waking up. Amazon down after amazing earnings, right? Oh, CapEx is going too high. Obviously, CapEx is going high. They want to increase and continue to grow in cloud, where they're seeing 24% year-over-year growth. Microsoft, market is punishing. A lot of these stocks got punished on some fake AI bear thesis. What bear thesis is there for AI? Like, I don't know. I use AI so much more. I'm burning tokens like no tomorrow, right? I'm the reason these companies need these high growth in capex. But those are the numbers. Thoughts on buying Soundhound before earnings? It's beaten down to 7 and voice market. I'm not a fan of Soundhound. It's just not somewhere I would put my money in. That doesn't mean the stock isn't going to go up. I do think this is more volatile play, right? It's extremely volatile market. This is extremely volatile market. If they announce some great partnership, this is a stock that can easily go up 30%, right? Easily go up 30%. If they announce something crazy, you're going to see massive returns. I just think from my thought process, the AI voice market is very competitive. It's extremely competitive, where a lot of players are working on voice AI. And I don't really see the moat too much for me to invest in it. Obviously, they're working really good with restaurants and stuff like that. But I think the competition could come out really quickly for this industry here. Maybe not right now for Soundhound, but for the whole industry, I think competition can come up really quickly. And for that reason, I don't want to invest. But again, the stock can actually do amazing. It's going to be a high beta stock. Any great press release, you see 40, 50% growth. But it's just not for me. Jose, do you know when Broadcom is reporting earnings? Let's see. I think they're a week after Nvidia. Are they? Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, Broadcom. Wednesday, March 4th. Dun, dun, dun. When is Marvell? Marvell is usually the day after. All right. Marvell is Thursday, March 5th. And I think after that, we have quiet time for, no, we have some events. We have some events going on. What do you think last earnings Corey got done because of a delay? I don't know. I'm not a perma bull. I'm very bullish on CoreWeave. I think they turned on a lot of systems recently. And I think we're gonna see some strong growth there. in the data center space. I obviously the delay sucked, but I don't know. I'm really excited based on the capex announcements, on the type of capex they spent, on the type of systems that they're building. So I think numbers are going to be great, and I think guidance is going to be great as well. Now, how the market reacts, that's different. That's different. I don't know how the market will react, but I think after I was extremely excited after Nebius reported earnings, right? And I'm not that like I mentioned, Nebius is in this space is the second biggest in the AI infrastructure, but I was so happy when Nebius reported earnings. Their earnings were amazing. Now, I do believe a lot of their earnings were not company based. Like the things that got me bullish are not necessarily company based, but it's more the market based. Like that's what the market is seeing. And for me, that can translate really, really well for CoreWeave. So a lot of my excitement. Maybe you got excited for other things, but a lot of the excitements that I saw from Nebius earnings were just very just strong signals of the AI infrastructure space that I believe can translate really well to CoreWeave. People are underestimating what Nvidia is doing. 100%, 100%. I do think this is true. Even though I am a massive AMD bull, right? I trust Lisa Su. I think the team is crazy. And Nvidia is just the supply chain logistics is a whole different level. It's literally a whole different level. Imagine working with billions and billions and billions of dollars per quarter, tens of billions, not just tens of billions, like 50 plus billions of dollars. That the type of supply chain for someone to trust you. Hey, look, yeah, you're definitely going to see this. I'm going to be making a fab just for you. I need to have a supply chain just for you. I'm willing to do it because I see that like the supply chain is an art within itself. Let's not talk about the obviously the software and everything else behind it. Just the supply chain itself, I think, is such a difficult task. Who knows? Is there a thing? Do you ever buy options before earnings to mitigate risk in hopes of adding to positions? I do options, but I don't know if it's too risk. Sometimes if I do options during earnings, it's more like a small yellow play. And usually any option plays that I do tend to be very, very small, very low single positions in the overall market. Um, um, but not to mitigate risk. Like I like the day before, like let's say Nvidia's reporting earnings, I'm not going to buy puts just in case the stock goes down. I'm definitely not. Will I say call? Will I sell calls? I don't know. I don't know. Only if I have. No, actually, I don't know. It's very rare for me to do it. Not impossible, but very rare. Is this Miss Cleo's channel? Who the heck is Miss Cleo? Is that like some form of fortune? Before I put it in the fortune teller. Oh, okay, it was. When was she live? She was live uh in 2001. Okay, I should have. Okay, 2000. Okay. um Adding after earnings or adding after earnings. I tend to do options more after earnings. Like let's say a massive sell-off happens, I wouldn't mind and I like it, like I wouldn't mind selling a put. Like for example, Astera Labs after earnings, I sold puts. Sold puts that if it goes lower, I don't mind getting it. And in the meantime, I'll collect the premium. um but there it's not if you're right, I'm buying a lottery ticket. Maybe I should too. I should too. Nvidia up 4% in 6 months. What pump we talking about? Nvidia should be 220 at the moment. I mean, I think it's I don't know. It depends on when. Nvidia is up to 2.5% on a $4.6 trillion company. What more do you want? I don't know. Yeah, what more do you want? 6 months of 4%, but let's say you bought at the bottom, you're up 10%. That's not that bad. Um, Jose, what's going on? Prudent. I don't know. I'm 55034. Just my opinion. I think it's time to buy all goods companies around there based on my analysis. Smart money, all the goods companies. What are all the goods companies? What's good for you might not be good for me. But what do we mean here? So we're talking about like the Max Sevens. Um, what are we talking about? Because you recall this message in 3 months, but I want to know which one are the all the goods companies. Like what kind of goods? Let me know. I'm not concerned with their price fluctuation. I think they'll do at least 35% this year. We're talking about Nvidia. I think Nvidia is going to do really well. I agree. I don't really care about my price price fluctuations too much. Micron. Um, Micron. Micron. Is Micron flying? Micron continues to fly, right? Wow, 426. 426. Did you guys buy the dip? Just curious. I know some people like wanted to get into Micron. Um, but then you got it at 373, even if you just bought 2 days ago, a day ago, yesterday. If you bought yesterday, that's why is that yesterday? No, that's February 10th. That's a few days ago. About a week ago. You're up 14%. That's crazy. Air. Jose, any thoughts on Air? PPK. I mean, I like Air. I own it. I think the AI, I mean, we talked a few about times in this channel. Equipment market is definitely growing right now. Air test system has the tailwinds of entering the AI processor market. They recently saw more strong engagement from their customers on their A processor stress test equipment, which was really bullish. They are also moving into the memory market potential as well. And they're also going to be working, I think, in silicon photonics. I have to verify, but I think they mentioned uh, uh, another market that they're potentially growing into. And with the market cap of less than $1 billion, obviously high beta name, high risk, but I do own this one. Any thoughts regarding the high debt and customer concentration regarding CoreWeave? A lot of thoughts here. First is customer concentration regarding CoreWeave is completely understandable, right? It's completely understandable. Only only without who CoreWeave, right? CoreWeave their original business was to build massive AI infrastructure that were 10,000 plus GPUs, right? 10,000 plus GPUs. That was their original business, right? They're at least focusing. Obviously, they're pushing forward into more. But when you're doing 10,000 GP plus GPUs clusters, not anybody can buy it. Only a selected amount of customers. You would this kind of fear would kind of be like a fear. I'll talk about the high debt, but this customer concentration regarding CoreWeave is the exact same customer concentration one would have on Nvidia, right? Who are the only ones that are really spending these $100 billion in capex? There's only a selected amount of fuel. So CoreWeave is going to be in that same landscape. I don't necessarily think that's a bearish case because only a few type of people are going to need this. Who is going to need to have inference for millions and billions of people? Not every AI company, not every company, only AI labs, right? Only AI labs, only your hyperscalers. So customer concentration is not a fear because that's where this market is, right? It's like I think that's the easiest way to explain it is that's the customer base, right? Their customer base is just their customer phone is only a selected amount of people. Now they're fixing a little bit, and Nvidia's helping them, right? Nvidia's helping them come and get into the enterprise player, right? They're kind of have that backstop that people talk about, which is not really a backstop, but they're kind of getting into that enterprise player by having infrastructure that they can shut off Nvidia from and give it to smaller players. But regardless, you still need you still need thousands of enterprises to kind of even make up maybe the type of revenue that you would make out from these big players. So customer concentration in revenue segments, they can say we could have hundreds of customers, but 3 customers can still be the biggest portion of revenue, no matter if you have a lot of enterprises. So customer concentration will always be a thing. I think for all these other players as well. And everything I've said about Nebius has kind of gone right. Nebius, I remember when I never hated on Nebius. I just like CoreWeave better because I like the AI infrastructure play. But 2 things that I would always get talked about on Nebius was this company has GPU depreciation of 4 years versus 5 years. And I said that's not a bullish reason. That's not a bullish or bearish reasons. But eventually they're going to change to higher levels. They ended up doing that. Nebius was not going to have debt. They've increased a lot of debt, and they're doing they're changing things around. In this market, there's going to be a market where you really just focus on the hyperscalers and the AI labs because those are the ones that are really buying this type of infrastructure and renting it out. So customer concentration is going to be strong there. The high debt obviously is scary. But I mean, if you told me, Jose, I can sell you $1 billion hotel, right? I can sell you $1 billion hotel. I don't have $1 billion, but let me see if I can take out the debt for it. And because I sell you this $1 billion hotel, I can also already promise that for the next 5 years, you're gonna have customers loaded like no tomorrow. You don't have to go find rent. The customers are already there. Microsoft, OpenAI, and all these players are already there. They're gonna pay me rent for the next 5 years, and I'll be able to have GPUs already kind of furnished in these hotels that I know can make me money after 5 years. It just it's just like, obviously you have debt. If you're building this massive real estate property, you're gonna have to spend a lot of debt to build it out. But if then you have that massive real estate and you already kind of promised to have it fully rented out and people paying a great price for them, and then after that you can still use their furniture for future usage. I don't think the debt concerns me in the market we're in right now, Rami. Now, if there was a whole different market, right? If there was no supply and demand imbalance like we have right now, this would be a whole different story. I think once the supply and demand imbalance shifts, then that would be bad for a lot of these neo cloud players. A lot of them, all of them, I think. But right now, we're not there. So those are my thoughts on their high debt and customer concentration. Um, Hood morning, hood morning, hood morning, hood morning, good morning, or hood morning. I don't know if you want me to check hood stock. Hood stock up 1.5%. Morningstar, which I feel is very conservative with AI stocks, has the fair market value of Nvidia at 220. Nice. I like this. Um, Jose, has anyone ever called you Jose without the H sound rather than with the J sound? So Jose, yes, I've gotten Jose. I've gotten Josie before too. Um, I've gotten most people I think say Jose, but I have gotten Jose, and Josie. Um, what's your thoughts or expectations going into Broadcom earnings? I mean, I think we're going to continue to see strong growth on TPUs and their ASIC market. Um, Huck Tan is that's his name, right? Is it Huck Tan? I had it right the first time. Um, he's extremely bullish in the AI market. I mean, a lot of this capex, right? You saw capex growth from every single player, right? Capex growth from every single player. Obviously, that's not all going to Nvidia. That's going to go to all the other players. I think Broadcom is a benefactor from here. Um, I don't know what the stock will go. I can definitely see why people will continue to be bullish on Broadcom. But yeah, I mean, with capex is just a good indication there. Did you buy the SoFi dip? I did not buy the SoFi dip, but I also don't own SoFi, right? I'm not in the SoFi game, but it seems like the dip is still there. So I don't, if I wanted to buy the dip, I think I could still buy it. You made it seem like the dip was over, but it seems like the dip is still in the dip. Hasn't even come out the dip, right? There's, um, but yeah, I don't own SoFi. I don't own much fintech. MU is what AMD price action will be when MI 450 hits. But I mean, I obviously would like that to happen. I mean, AMD. I think AMD has the $1 trillion potential. Do you have iron? Any thoughts on iron? I do. I own small percentage. So my big player is CoreWeave, then Nebius, then iron. And I think each of them are like by a factor. Like my Nebius is 5 times bigger than iron, but my CoreWeave is like 5 times bigger than Nebius and stuff like that. Um, Normally, what we would do is if you got 100,000 or 200 saved up, a bank will give you a loan at 10 or 20% down for 1 million. Then you can buy $1 million hotel. Yeah, and that would go into debt, right? So that's all that debt that they're growing. But now it's like, imagine, obviously, I would do it, right? And if I can go to the bank and say, look, bank, I have this much money saved up. Not only do I have this much money saved up, I have the backing of Nvidia, right? Nvidia promised that they're going to use their financial strength to help CoreWeave get better deals. I don't know if people miss that, right? Did people miss that? Look at this, CoreWeave and Nvidia. in 2026, and this is why you're in this channel, right? Because you get this. Um, in addition, let's see. Oh, leverage. The companies intend to, this is crazy, leverage Nvidia's financial strength to accelerate Corey's procurement of land, power, and shells to build AI factories. How can you, how, how do you hate him for, Corey can literally go, yeah, I mean, I can sign this, but I have my daddy Nvidia is actually back here. They can co-sign. They have a massive wallet. I don't think you need to see their credit score. You know how good they're doing, but this is wild. That is wild. I mean, so you go to the bank, you say, "Look, I have this money saved up. Let me get a loan. Let me get this expensive debt to build this AI hotel. In the meantime, I'm going to use this money to buy GPUs, which have strong assets. So that's already still an asset builder there with the GPUs being purchased. And then on the third thing, actually, there's a lot of things. So first is I have some money saved up. Second is the GPUs I'm going to buy are have a strong asset number, at least right now. The third thing is I have the customers that are backing. They're giving me prepayment as well. And not only that, do I have customer backing, I have Daddy Jensen back here that is saying, look, I this is my financial strength. You're gonna give them to them at a great price. Like, why? Why? I don't know. I get it. I get it. The debt is scary, but uh, I just again, it's all based on this market though, right? If the market was completely different, the supply demand imbalance, that thesis changes. What chip is Jensen teasing? He said a new chip at GTC. What's going on, Big Buck? I think I said hi to you already, Big Buck, but hello, hello. I think Jensen is we're actually going to see a few chips. I think first thing he's going to say is GT the CPX. I think even though we kind of know about it, we haven't really seen it. But the CPX, which is going to be a new class of GPU designed for massive context inference. I kind of talked a little bit about it where we're getting into different workloads in AI, right? It's not going to be just one type of workload. It's various workloads. And for each type of workload, you're going to have different types of chips. Nvidia is going to have a lot of different workload chips. I think one of the chips that he's going to showcase at GTC is going to be CPX, which is a new class of GPU designed for massive context workloads. And I think he's going to announce some big winners here. The other thing is going to be some form of Grok LPU Nvidia hybrid, right? I think this is also a thing. Because where the CPX is great for long context stuff like coding and generate video application, the Grok LPU is more designed for extremely fast, low latency, where maybe you don't need to do too much thinking. Maybe you don't need to do so much thing, but it's for a very unique case. During I was at CES, Big Buck, this past year, and luckily I was invited into certain conferences that the public didn't get to see, but we could share the information, right? We could share the information. And one of the questions that someone asked is, when would we see kind of that integration of Grok? Now, Jensen didn't really say like you're going to see it at GTC, but he said things like that is more for GTC, right? So, I think we can kind of see that Grok LPU Nvidia integration. Maybe potentially another chip that we could see is the Nvidia Intel chip, right? Maybe we hear a little bit more about it. So there's so many ways about it, right? So many ways. So we have the CPX and other variations of the CPX. Maybe right. There's so many different types of workloads. But CPX a style chip. We have the Grok LPU potential. Maybe we have the Intel Nvidia chip that we can also hear. I remember when Hood was 125 plus, and people were, hey, it's not working. Am I down? Testing. Can you guys see me? Can you guys see me? All the time. Am I still live with you guys? I want to keep talking about chips and stuff. Yes, you are still good. All right. All right. I remember when Hood was 125 plus and people were FOMO to buy, 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 buy. Duh, 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 duh. Um, all right, all right. So yeah, we're still live. We're still cool. Um, Interesting, right? I mean, and that's how it is, right? Obviously, stock prices go up, people get the FOMO, the stock prices go down, and you're like, you know what? Maybe it can go down lower. And that's when you need conviction, right? That's when you need conviction on stocks. Um, Bye, bye, bye. Um, let's go. um, Jose, I need you to go on the MITS market open. I have 85 hood call something spreads on margin expiring this Friday. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Ikavia, just tell them to have me on, right? Just whenever if a mid tells me, yo, I need you this day, I'll go on. Right, I'll go on. Thank you for sharing. With your regarding Coreweave's customer. In my opinion, they should be given a premium for that due to the high quality of the customers. Yes, and then you have, but then you have obviously I can't be always permeable, right? Rami, I can't be permeable. Obviously, the bearish case is what happens if all these players eventually start building um too much AI infrastructure. Are they still going to need these neo cloud players? And that's why I think my thesis is really reliant on the supply demand unbalance that we have right now. And I believe that unbalance is at least going to last a few more years, at least 12 to 18 more months. I'm not saying it's going to end in 18 months, but it's just that the current visibility that I have gives me just visibility 18 months. Maybe 6 months from now, I can extend that visibility again for another 18 months or so. But it is important that the supply imbalance and demand imbalance is the biggest reason for my thought process right now. Um, let's see. Have you tried OpenClaw? I have not yet. I have not yet. I've been trying to think of ways to do it. I don't want to just do something to just say I've done it. I really want to do something productive. What's going on, Ricardo? Ricardo Flores, 06, 18. Hello. If Nebius goes over 108, I think it's going to rocket. But going to 108 is already rocketing. But I'm with you. I'm with you. If it goes to 108, it's going to rocket. Sure. I don't. I mean, I would. I don't really follow those companies. I'm gonna guess if they are obviously Palantir, but Ondas, I think it's in the drone business. I don't know Arcat, but I'm gonna guess if they're focused in weapons or stuff like that, or national defense uh solutions is probably the better way to go about it. Then obviously optics can push them higher, but I don't follow them. What are the semi-growth stocks that have attractive valuations that you can think of right now? And apart from Nvidia, I mean, it obviously, okay, my thought process is all hinged on the AI market evolving, right? The AI market evolving. And I mean, I think AMD is extremely cheap. I think Astera Labs has growth potential. Um, I think you have equipment players like Air Test Systems that can benefit. Uh, I I do think right now mainly is the high growth, the capex, not the capex, the hyperscalers are probably my favorite right now. But then in the semi growth, you also Astera Labs is one of my few. There's a few memory players, like Form Factor, Silicon Motion, that are growing with the market, that I recently purchased a few days ago. And if you guys before that, if you guys want the deep dives, right? Obviously, these channels, these live streams are fun. These live streams are fun. But if you want exclusive live streams, if you have deep dives on earnings, if you have conference coverage, and the exclusive live streams are deep dives on companies, right? We do deep dives on companies. Check out whatthechiphappened.com. You don't even need to use the code anymore, right? No more code, right? You just click the link, you get 33% off at checkout. This is a market I'm constantly researching on a daily basis. So definitely check it out at whatthechiphappened.com. I know it's a great name. Maybe I might even start my own singing song for What the Chip Happened. But yeah, check it out. So I think there's a lot of semi-growth opportunities. I do think right now though, the Max 7 is just super, super attractive. Super, super attractive. People understand why buybacks reflect confidence. Circular deals can be the same. Accepting stock as a payment from good companies is all bullish and more value than the payment itself. Um, but I just, I mean, stock buybacks do reflect confidence. I don't think there's too much circular. I think the circular financing is a little bit different than most people are talking about, right, Ed? And maybe this is what you're trying to say here. The circular financing that's happening of all here, it's in my opinion not to make sure you buy my chips, or it's not to let me, hey, look, I'm selling $100 chip. Here's $100 for you to buy my chip. That's not what I think is happening right now. What I think is happening is, look, I'm gonna sell you $100 chip. I'm gonna give you $10. I'm going to give you $10 right now. I'm not going to give you $100. I'm going to give you $10. With this $10, I'm hopeful that you're going to use this $10 to make a lemonade stand, to make some business with this $10, to make some business. And with that business, you'll eventually be able to afford my $100 chip, right? That's how I see it, right? It's it's more an allowance more than anything. I don't think it's circular financing. It's Daddy Jensen, right? It's definitely Papa Jensen. I think Daddy's a little sus. Let me go with Papa Jensen. Um, Papa Jensen is giving allowances to AI companies. And the allowances are not meant to go buy chips, but the allowances are meant to improve your business. So then eventually you can come back to Papa Jensen and buy what you need because you've evolved your business with this money, with this influx, right? You've gotten this loan. Um, and now you made your business so much better that now you can actually come to me and afford the stuff. It's more like a what is that? Damn it! What is when the government gives you? Oh my God! What is the not a credit? Not an incentive. What is the freaking word I'm thinking about? It's when they give you something, an incentive. No, it's not a subsidy. I don't know, but it's more like that, right? It's to just help it. It's to help it grow. So then eventually you don't need to help it grow. Now you have all these companies that have built a great business that can now afford your chip and are just growing crazy, crazy demand. Right. The robotic space, right? Maybe the robotic space, you don't have it right now. Like a rebate, maybe like a rebate. I don't know if that's the right word. Um, but it's in the robotic space, we're still in early innings. Oh, let me make sure you survive, right? The research and development process might be a little bit more expensive. Let me give you stimulus. I think stimulus was the better word user. Thank you. But like for research and development companies, and the great thing is it's not the government giving you the stimulus. It's actual companies. It's Nvidia and all these players in the robotic space, right? Jensen knows bribe. I don't know if it's a bribe, right? I don't know if it's a bribe. Subsidies is probably another one. But Jensen knows, right? I think Jensen and all these players know that at least 5 years from now, the robotics company is going to be big, right? The robotics company is going to be big. So let me make sure that while the robotics company might be big in 5 years, between now and year 4, it's going to suck and you're going to need to have some money to stay alive. But I know when year 4 happens, or after year 4, if you survive till then, you're most likely doing really good. And year 5, you're going to be building a lot of robots and you're going to be coming back to me. Right. So that's what this is. I do think this is what it is. It's where like Jensen knows all these markets are going to be big. They might not just all be big right now. So we have to make sure that all these different companies survive so that once it becomes big, you have this massive competition, because competition itself is also very important, right? Because if I'm the only player doing robots, I don't have to innovate that well, right? If I'm the only player, I'm not going to innovate. I'm not going to keep pushing research and development. But now if I'm in the robotics market and there's 5 other players that are also in the robotics market that are with me, what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be expending on research and development nonstop. I'm going to make sure I'm better than them next year, right? It's it's the fire. Like literally just fueling the fire, and obviously it's for Nvidia, but it's just it's not just going to be for Nvidia. It's going to be for all these other players. All these other players are going to benefit from it as well. So it's a very very fun time to be a investor, in my opinion, especially in the AI space. I don't know how I got to here with this. I forgot what the overall question. Um, Yes, you're still good. Okay, I guess this was my sing along. Yes, yes, yes. Yep, you're good. Yep, hear your chip song. Keep singing. Yes. Still live, but don't stop singing. Yes. You should have stayed quiet. This song was good. Wait, who sings that song, Jose? I don't know. I sang that song. Matt Money sing when he live streams? Matt Money versus Jose singing contest. Keep singing, bro. LOL. You guys are too much. Appreciate the support. Jose, can you talk a little bit about ACLS after all the research we did this morning? All right, so ACLS, right? This is a company we actually did a live stream on the community earlier today, right? Earlier today, we actually did a deep dive on the community about this. Market sold off 14%. When we were actually doing the live stream, it was actually more. It was at the 79s. If I was to guess, the sell-off on this is based on three things. The first thing is for this year, for this upcoming year, Axcelis. I think I used Axcelis. Kind of guided a flat revenue growth for this year. The market hated that because before the market used to say this was a good proxy for the memory market, right? The proxy of this is a semiconductor equipment player that provides equipment for the manufacturing phase. Many people believe because of the HBM and the DRAM and their kind of market in the memory space, it was going to push for faster growth. But the memory market only represents about 9% of the quarter's revenue. So even if it's growing, it's still not really being much of a driving force. And with the flat revenue guidance this year, the market is punishing it. Now, if you listen to the earnings call or kind of read the transcript like we did at the deep dive, a few things that were noted was a lot of the memory players don't have new fabs right now, right? Micron doesn't have a new fab right now. SK Hynix doesn't have a new fab right now. So they can't buy equipment right now. What we're seeing is these big players are building the fabs right now. So in theory, what should happen is the real growth story for this one is most likely in 2027 when they start shipping it. Now, the stock price can actually react a little bit faster. Maybe the second half of this year, you start to see bookings grow dramatically as those memory players have their fabs starting to open up. And as they get closer to opening up the fabs, they said, you know what? Now that we're getting closer, let's start buying the equipment, right? Because there's no point buying the equipment now if you don't really have the space. So I think this company is looking short-term, was hoping for short-term growth, but it does seem like the growth is going to take a little bit longer to come, but that growth is definitely there. So I don't own it just yet. It's definitely on my watch list, especially after the downfall. So that's what we learned there. OpenClaw has security issues. That's one of the reasons also I wouldn't want to try it. Like it would have to be like in a completely new computer, something not in my market, a different Google account and everything else. Data Dog looks like it wants to set up for a rip. Golden Dome, counter UAS are bullish for on this. Glow is a name I want to pick up when there are some discounts. A lot of people like Glow and Light, right? I think Light is the other one. Lumentum. All right, I think these are two that have seen massive growth right now. People are like, memory market, nah, optics space. Is AMAT a good valuation here? Would you buy Spicy B? I think we see massive capex spent in equipment players. I personally like equipment players when they're boring, right? When they're boring, and that was in April. I don't think we're at the top yet in capex. I think we're going to start growing, but I think we're over 50%. We might be at 51%, 52% in the upcycle. So if I had Applied Materials, I wouldn't be selling. If I was to be buying, I think it would be very small. Again, this stock can continue to go higher and higher. Capex can continue to grow. That's not the story I'm trying to paint. I'm not trying to be bearish on it. It's just the equipment players, you like to buy them when things look pretty scary. I think it's like where this company is right now. Obviously, there's a lot more risk here. What if that story never paints out? But where this story is for Axcelis, where it's like you're not really getting the revenue growth just yet or the bookings just yet, the market punishes you. But when it happens, the market gives you this type of reaction. Or this type of reaction, regardless, whatever type of reaction. But the equipment space is a lot more cyclical than the rest of the market in the semiconductor space. And I do believe that's still going to continue. Maybe the cycle lasts a little bit longer, but we were talking about, it's like ASML. It's like, I would rather buy, I'm not buying ASML here. We were talking about this one here, right? When the market wasn't looking at was seeing that bookings wasn't growing, when the market was seeing that revenue wasn't growing, but the long-term thesis was still there. About the circular financing, that's absolutely right. Another thing is these companies are building out all this infrastructure without the assistance of the government, which I think is great. I agree. Rebate, grant, stimulus, subsidies, bribe. I don't know if it's a bribe, but maybe tax write-offs, maybe it. Um, Jose, I bought a new Asus computer with an AMD Ryzen 9, 32 gigs of LPDR, and an AMD Radeon. I'm so surprised by its lightness, speed of build, and I hope it lasts a while. I think it'll last a while. AMD. The great thing is AMD's has done really well for the consumer. Sounds like a nice machine there. Congrats, Clayton. Hope you have fun. Stimulus checks. Thanks for clarifying. But yes, they're smartly investing in the same bullish share market everyone else is. It's just accelerating profit subsidy, but one that gets on an ROI. I agree. Quid pro quo. All right, guys. I am gonna start toning down. I appreciate you guys joining. We did about an hour and 11 minutes. Before I close out, maybe if you guys have any final questions, we can do a quick rapid fire. So if I might have missed, I think I answered all the comments today. If you guys have any other questions, I'm going to give you a few seconds to post them. If not, I will sign out. So post those questions. What is the market doing? I'm just going to take a quick look. Once I'm done looking at markets, Cadence reported earnings. I heard 9%. So it seems like they were good. What else? Applied Digital was down on Nvidia selling off. I thought we also saw Recursion, right? Recursion sold off as well. Temp is up 9%, Shopify up 8%, and up 5%. Yeah, it's a pretty good market. Obviously, market is volatile, so it could change, but I'm happy right now. All right, so I didn't see any questions. So for that, I am gonna head out. Thanks to say for the time. Appreciate it. Apple Mac Mini selling out all over. Yep, leaning into Apple. Yes, I saw this too. So guys and gals, appreciate the time. I'll catch you guys all tomorrow at the same time. If you haven't, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. It really does help. I released a few videos in the past 24 hours alone. And if you honestly, if you want to be part of a community, check out whatthechipHappened.com, right? I am trying to provide as much content there as possible, deep level research, a lot of value. So check out whatthechipHappened.com and use the link to get 33% off. Peace out and see you all next.